what's to me what I would like to know, and this is really what drives all of my podcasts is um, what is behind the person, like what has driven the person to be the person that they are today. Another big thing
Oh yeah,
about
yeah,
these,
yeah, yeah. I know. No, I got an answer for that for me that will surprise you, and it surprised me that I discovered this during COVID.
all right,
It's what drives me ultimately, in a simple way to explain it without going into all the details,
yeah,
is just how much my parents hate me.
your parents hate you. That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
powerful. That's powerful.
In the way their actions are. Of course, all parents love their kids, right? And I'm not going to get into all the details, except that. Oh wait, yeah, I could give you just one example. Well, I visited my father because I was concerned about him during COVID. Hadn't seen him for 15 years, and I
Yeah,
walk in the door. Right, I knock on the door, and he's like, take off the mask. It's just a da da da. And I said, oh, I just put it on for you. Oh yeah, you're just stupid. You're brainwashed. So they sit down, and he just goes on about how much of a moron and how stupid I am, and I never, and I don't interrupt him. I just let him talk, and then I gave him, like, I was going to give him this thing, like, you know, what is it called? Google Box, the thing, so you can talk to the box, Google Home.
yeah. Google Home. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
if that, whatever that gift is, I don't need it. Like, just give it to someone else. And it was like he was basically saying, I'll never see you again. Just get, just get out. And then my last conversation with my mother was when I did an email blast to get Samina to get votes for the Waterfront Awards.
Yeah, yeah.
That right?
Hold on,
And
before you go into the story, can you hold that thought because what you just said about your father is like super important. And this is to me, this is where the juice is. I'm just curious. What did that experience teach you in that moment when he said that? Like, how did that land in your spirit?
well, it's not it, it, it didn't hurt. It's like, you got to understand. I got to tell a different story so you understand. It's not about that moment. It was like I was great. I was
Hmm.
great. I just was love. I just left, and I said my last words were, I apologize for being a disappointment to you, and
Hmm.
then I walked out, and I'll never see him again. And it, the thing is, when I was a kid and I was living with him, one day he said, "On the day you were born, son, that was the day my dreams died." Right? That's when it really hurt. And then all the different actions, like getting drunk and then waking me up at grade 12, and because he didn't have a woman to bring over, so he wanted to talk to me while he was drunk, and it was just so fucking scary. And then I loved music, and he didn't come to. Not only did he not ever see me perform, and I skipped grades. I was in grade 10, but they put me in grade 11 music and put me in a different instrument. I was learning two instruments at the same time. I was this prodigy. I was like, I don't want to say prodigy. I don't mean to be whatever, but he not only did he never attend anything. When I was about to go on a trip, he called the school drunk and made me get humiliated and taken off the bus to go to Kentucky on the school music exchange program. Right? That's the stuff. And the lesson, the lesson. It's not the lesson. You ask what drives me.
Yeah.
It's experiencing, whether it's true or not, experiencing such hatred and such control, and so, from the people that you're the closest with, your mother. Yeah, that's why I got to tell you the Waterfront story. The email blast goes out. My mother's somehow on my list. She emails me back saying, why would I vote for this woman? I don't even know her. And then she criticizes Sabina, and then she goes on and on. I'll send it to you because it'll blow your mind, right? It'll blow your mind. Like telling me how why you were such a loser. Everybody liked your brother, but not you. All your girlfriends were losers too, except for your wife, who was smart enough to leave you. And it's just, that was the email I got after not talking to my mother for a few years. But the thing is, that's what it's been like for me. That's who my parents are, who they were, and who they still are. I don't explain why or how. All I know is this. That's why I had to stand up for Samina, right? That's why I will stand up. I have to give. When you came on, you were shocked that I didn't judge you for being late. I wasn't upset at all. How is that possible? because, you know, I know the pain of being controlled by people, right? Being controlled by their expectations. You're not going to be a musician. You're going to go and get a degree and be something else. And if you do anything other than what I want you to do, you know, you're a bad kid. You're a selfish, spoiled brat. That's what I was, you know, all these things, all because I was just a little kid who just wanted to be free and love. And so that's what I am. I love.
Okay,
Everything I do
question.
is about love.
Question. This is super interesting, man. Have you ever just held your parents accountable to their actions? Not in a judgmental way. I don't mean like,
Yes,
hey,
many
you're an
times, many
asshole,
times.
but
Let
just
me,
like, hey,
well, no,
dad.
no, no, dude,
Hold on, I gotta
dude,
finish. I
many
gotta
times.
finish. I gotta finish. I gotta finish this. I gotta finish
Okay,
this. Just,
okay.
just like, hey, dad. I understand, we've had our differences, but like, what's really going on? Like, I like, there's a lot of tension here. I know you feel this, but like,
Yeah.
can you just bring me in? Like, what's
Many
happening?
times. Yeah. Okay. So here's the quick answer to dad, but then I'll talk about my mother. You're too emotional. You're too emotional. I don't want to talk about it. Just stop it. That's what I'm trying to make amends for something or whatever. You can't talk about it. My father won't let you talk about anything. He just won't let you talk. He'll just talk at you. But let me do one more specific with my mother. I'm married. My mother always, 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 always. You can't be in the room with her without her trashing someone. It's either you or a family member. And at one point, I got healthy enough after doing Landmark and after, booking people and becoming a healthy human being. I realized I can't participate in that shit. And so I would go over and say, Mom, I just want to let you know, don't talk about my brother like that. Not angry. If you talk bad about him or any of my family members, this visit will be short. I'm not going to get mad at you, Mom. I'm just going to leave. I just cannot. And my mother would just fume because, and you could feel it because she just wanted to trash somebody. It's all she knows how to do is complain and blame. We grew up in welfare, right? But then we're married. I'm married. One day, I'm talking to my mom after and she says something negative about my wife, right? And I yelled at her. I said, don't you ever fucking talk about my wife. Like the second the first thing was about to get negative, like I didn't even
Yeah.
get to let it go negative. I was just like, I don't know, something in me was like, enough is enough. If you ever fucking talk about my wife in a negative way ever, Mom, I'll be hanging up the phone and you won't see me for a year. And she never talked bad about my wife ever again. But, and then it would be,
You
that's what it would
see?
be. It was like I would be setting these boundaries with my parents, Look, these are subjects that if we talk about this, I'm just going to have to leave. I won't get angry, Dad, because I love you and I don't want to get into a fight. But when this happens, I just politely leave and you'll know why. And I'd be parenting my parents. And what
Well,
would
you
happen
you
is
just
there'd be like, okay, you broke the rule, so I'll see you, I'll reconnect with you like in a year, like I said. And then it's 2 years. And then eventually it's like, if you
15.
ever that like the email that I will share with you, I put it on my Facebook to
Yeah.
get Sabina more votes, and she won first place, right? She won
Yeah.
first place, most
Hmm.
number of votes for People's Choice Awards, and she was a nobody. 1 year later, she wins first place, right? That was the end. She knew it. My mother just wanted to make sure she could just have one final say, because I asked her, please do not email me back, but I know you will email me back because you cannot not email me back.
I just had to ask Siri to write a note because what you just said was absolutely powerful, and I need to remember that. It cannot be something I forget, because that's something that I want to have an open room discussion about, is how to hold a mirror up to your parents and reflect all of the things that they need to deal with, all of the traumas that they need to deal with in a loving way, because
Well,
like
here's it's you don't actually do it. Step one is you don't have that conversation when you've been triggered or you're angry. You can only have that conversation like when you are knowing that you're having this conversation, you're in a good place and you're coming from love. And if you get there and you get all terrified and scared, which would often happen when I'm in the presence of my parents, then I wouldn't have the conversation. You don't want to have it when you're angry or you're afraid. But then the conversation is not about telling them you need to go counseling, you need to deal with your trauma. It's not that, because then you're just doing what they do to you, which is making you focus on all your defects. You don't do that game with them. It's art of war, but it's the art of love. It's a different game. It's a different conversation. And it's just, Mom, I love you. And when you do this and talk about my brother behind his back when he's not here, it hurts me. And I feel I'm being disloyal if I don't stand up for them, but then we're going to have a fight if I do that. So I just want to let you know, when I come to visit, I know you want to see me. If that happens, I'll remind you, but the first time, but if it happens again, I'm going to have to lovingly walk out the door. And please, I know you're going to get mad, but don't. I love you. I'll come back. But I have to have these rules, because you're right, Mom. I don't enjoy seeing you. You always make me feel bad about it. Why don't you ever call your mom? Your cousin calls her mom. Everybody. You're such a bad kid. I get it, Mom. I don't want to blame you. I get it. You want to see your son, and you don't get enough of me as it is. That's what you're saying. But on the other hand, if you start talking trash about any of our family members, anyone I know, I will have to go home.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Powerful.
it. There's your answer right there.
Yeah, I truly do believe that every child, especially you seem like the black sheep of the family. And it's usually is that an understatement?
That's only if you're a prejudiced person, you're racial, and you think black is bad.
What?
I'm the fucking I'm the pukiest, greenest, fucking most disgusting, hated color on the planet by the masses, whatever that is. And I'm sure it's not black. I love black.
Well, I'll say this. The reason I say black sheep is because
I know. I was just
they're
doing
rare.
Programming on the masses, you racial fuckers.
Okay. Yeah, but where was I going? I feel like usually the black sheeps are the ones who have to hold space for the healing of the generations before them.
If they don't take their lives first. That's true.
Yeah, exactly. If the weight is not too much for them to bear, and obviously
the
you
only
lifted
way
that
out
weight.
for them is what you said. Yeah, if you want to live have a chance at living an enjoyable, peaceful, satisfying life on this planet, yeah, you'd have to do what you're suggesting.
Which is beautiful, because for you to even pull that off, you have to heal yourself first, and obviously that's what you did, and now you're able to be in a position to help them, which I love. Man, that is powerful.
And I have to tie that into something I've said so many times, which is that I learned how to love from helping addicts. Step 12, taking an addict through.
That's a headline. I learned how to love by helping addicts.
Yeah. I learned how to love myself by helping addicts. And here's how. Because I was in awe. I was scared. I was like, I can't even believe God would have a fuck up like me going to have this appointment with this guy. And based upon what happens between us, he's either going to have a great life, do the steps, help others like I'm doing, or not. And it was like a profound honor and a responsibility, which I did not take lightly, because I knew the pain of addiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, once I had the first session with the first addict, I walked out of that appointment crying with joy and thanking God how much he loved me. And I couldn't believe that, I was useful. I made a real difference. It had nothing to do with money. And it was so good, man. And it was like, all of a sudden, that energy of my gratitude for this experience of helping another addict caused all these people to want me to help them. It's like they could feel it. And then I was helping so many people, and it was at least 1 to 3 people a day in the beginning, because I was so depressed. And I would either be like doing God's work, and I wasn't there. That's what it was. I learned to love myself by actually not being present to me for these moments. Right? Because there's always an agenda in something, right? Why am I wasting my time? Why am I spending my time to help myself stay recovered? Yeah, I get it. But there was always something about me in this interaction. And truly, this was the only situation I'd ever experienced in my life where I'd show up to the appointment and this had nothing to do with me. And it was me not being there that I experienced God's love. Me not being there, I experienced love.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Scott.
Sure is, man. God, that, yeah,
So and this is a question that I ask all, not most of my guests, not all of my guests, but I'm going to
yeah.
start asking all my guests this question because um, it's very deep, very powerful question. Do you feel like there was some grand purpose behind all of your experiences growing up, and do you feel like there's a
Yes,
connection
dude,
between
dude. The
having your
biggest
shitty
one,
parents and the ability for you to help people?
yes. Here's what happened. At one time, 15 years ago in recovery, I made amends with my father. I had to do it on video because he wouldn't let me, whatever. And I ultimately, on video, um, entered into his world and could see that from his perspective, I was a disappointment. I hurt him. You know, his dreams died. And instead of like always defending myself and having a jaguar, see, it was worth it, Dad. I'm successful. Nothing I did would be successful enough for my dad. He just wanted, all he's been saying is that because I was born, his dreams died. So all I did kind of basically say is I like honor and acknowledge that experience and just say sorry, and but not from a guilt or blame thing. It was just say what his soul needed to hear, right? That's what it was. It was that conditional. I'm just going to give it to him, right?
Yeah,
And not make him wrong. And then when I did that, I had this peace. And I'm not saying this, what I'm going to say is true, but this is the thought I had. It was an empowering context that my dad and I were in heaven. And I went to my dad and I said, before we coming down, and I said, Dad, I want to make the biggest difference I can and provide the most love to people that need it so much. And in order for this to happen, when we go down there, I need you to be the most wicked father, and I need you to hurt me in the most extreme ways. And my father begged me, no, I can't do that, son. I won't. I won't. And he loved me enough to play that role. And that role, the moment I went back to live with my dad, that role was happening. I didn't know my dad, right? We did not live with him. I never got birthday gifts from him. The only birthday thing I remember is when I was living with him the first year. It was my birthday, and I witnessed him at grade 10 get a blowjob from some woman he picked up, and he said, "Happy birthday, son." And it was just, I was a virgin. I wanted to be a virgin. I was a Christian. I was what Christianity meant. And and hold on. What did I just say about my father? Yeah, the heaven thing. The heaven thing. We said this in heaven. Please hold on.
take all the time you need, man. There's literally
Yeah, thank you.
no rush at all. The space in between the conversation is important too.
Yes, he never wanted me. And I was brought up with my mother, Jane and Finch, 2999 Jane Street, apartment 301, Downsview, Ontario, M3N2J9, phone number 416-638-1514. The only address I remember, my childhood, where it was great living in the projects. And then we moved out of the projects, and I hated it. And my mother called my father, who I did not know, and said, I heard the call. Frank, I'm done with your son. If you don't take him, I'm sending him to an orphanage. And I got my dream. Because anytime I got in trouble with my mom, I would say, I want my daddy. I want my daddy. I want my daddy. My daddy would not treat me this way. I want my daddy. And so my dad took me in, and that was unconditional. That's how I'm looking at it. When there was a gun to his head, the man who did not want a kid, did not know his kid, would not let his kid go live in an orphanage, and he took me in, even though he was an alcoholic. He didn't know he was going to fucking abuse me the way he did. He loved me that much to take me in, right? And
Yeah,
so that
definitely.
we could fulfill the divine purpose, if it were true, that now you could torment me now that I know you. First abandon me and not be there. every time there's a Christmas, a birthday, make sure you never say happy birthday, never give your son a gift. Let's start there. And then when you do come into his life, make sure he's got to run. It was so bad. When I got off that trip in the Kentucky, the music trip, the bus,
Yeah.
I didn't know where to go. I was terrified to go home. So I just walked to one of my best friend's parents and just told them what happened. Can I stay here until my dad's not so drunk and I go back? Because it just happened. And because they knew my story through my best friend, I guess, right? He didn't tell me, Dave Clark didn't tell me from Real Statics, the drummer. Dave Clark did not tell me that he was telling, his parents about what I was dealing with. But they said, you're not going home and you're not going home ever. And you're going to stay right here. And this strange family,
Wow.
took care of me and got me into the system. And I was in grade 12 and I had a full-time job working as a cook at a restaurant. And, I was getting some government assistance. And I was also like quickly living on my own in grade 13 with a full-time job, got a 51% average. I used to be an A student, but that's because I had a full-time job while I was going to school full-time. And while I was now drinking and doing drugs, I only started ever drinking, doing drugs, or any of that stuff shortly after my father said, son, when I was your age, I had life by the balls just like you. I had dreams and plans just like you. In fact, when I was your age, son, here's what my plans were. I was going to go to school. I was going to get an education, get a degree. I was going to own a business, then get married, and then have kids. But your mother lied to me and said her tubes were tied, and they weren't. And then all of a sudden you were born. And on the day you were born, son, that was the day my dreams died. And in that moment, a little kid made up the interpretation that was not true, that I was a mistake, I was bad, I was evil. Like I'm so evil that I came down to earth to destroy my father's dreams. And there's nothing I can ever do to make it up to him. So that I became addicted to success and just being, no matter how successful I was. When I founded All Addictions Anonymous, it's all over the world. I'm helping addicts and other people are helping addicts. And then I go see him and he says, what's new? And I tell him how exciting it is. And he just, are they paying you any money? No, Dad, but I'm sober of all my addictions, right? Well,
Yeah.
And he's like, so you're hanging out with losers. If you don't do that, if you hang out with losers, you're going to become a loser. As he smoked and drank his beer. That's the end of that download.
Man, I'm blown away,
What a
man, by
story, eh? What a story. I hear myself fucking, I don't think about these things anymore, right? Just like,
yeah.
wow, what a story. I used to have to think about these things because I was delivering school programs, to kids, having to tell my story in the way that would make the biggest impact on them. And that was, to me, to not play the victim like I'm an addict. See, kids, what happened is when my dad said these bad things, right? I made the decision that I was evil, bad, and good. No, my dad was just trying to apologize because he feeling so bad about the fact he knew he was going to go drinking again tonight, and he was going to wake me up in the middle of the night. He couldn't say sorry because he can't say sorry if he knows he's going to do it again. He was trying to explain why he's such an asshole, but he would never say sorry. So that's a more empowering interpretation than I'm evil and deserve to destroy my life.
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny because
I had dreams. I was going to have them all come true. Even in computer science, they taught one language, Fortran. I was so good. They were teaching me two languages, Cobalt and Fortran, when computers first came out. And I was like, I was going somewhere, but somehow, kids, I made the decision that I did not deserve to have my dreams come true. But at the same time, I also needed to prove to my dad that it was worth him sacrificing his life for mine. And that's why I would just continually sabotage. I'd be successful and then wreck it all. And then be successful again and then wreck it all. And it was only after I finally accepted my father that there was nothing I could possibly do that would make him proud of me ever. That was the beginning of an amazing life for me.
Yeah. Right. Well, for him to do what he needed to do, like that's why I love your how you reframe that. for him to do what he needed to do, he needs to be something, right? And there's no guarantee that he will ever stop being that thing until he passes back to the other side. And so it really is empowering to acknowledge that in a parental figure that, hey, this thing that they are that helped you evolve and become the best version of yourself, that might not ever change.
Yeah,
And the best thing that you can ever do for them is just accept whatever it is. Because truthfully, I believe that that's really how we help them. I think
absolutely. We'd be an example of loving them anyway. We'd be an
exactly.
example of not participating in the dynamic.
Hmm.
And see, let's
That's,
come back to my story, right?
yeah.
It's only because I worked with so many addicts, people that shared their deepest things in step 5, like that they raped their mother or this or that, or all these things. I learned the deepest, darkest secrets of everybody I sponsored. And I only saw myself in every secret. And it was only through that I experienced not judging them for anything they did.
Yeah.
And it was only because I had so much experience with so many people, just unconditionally not judging any of them for anything they did, because you would too if you understood them and you understood what this drug could do, or you would too if you understood like I understand. So then, only then, was it even possible for me to see my father the same way. Like, why wouldn't I not grant the same generosity, you know, allowance or compassion,
Passion.
the understanding, you know, that I would grant a stranger? Why wouldn't I not grant that for my own father and mother? And
Mm.
listen, when addicts abuse me, first of all, it never happens because I'm so clear that I won't stand for it without ever having to chastise an addict. Like, people don't even
Mm.
try to screw with me,
Hmm.
you know? All I got to be is the same guy that I am for these strangers that are sick, let's say, that are tortured, and they come to me for some help. So my father's now one of those addicts, and he's tortured. So he's doing what we all do when we're in that unrecovered state, right? We fucking fear, hopeless, depression, like just fucking, we cause a mess, right? And it's my choice. Do I want to sit into that mess? And no, just know that you can walk away anytime and you can still love them. And when you can't go there because you're too scared, then you walk away. Like, when I left from seeing my father 2 months ago, what I didn't tell you is Samina was there for me waiting in the car because I was terrified of this man. I was terrified. They're like, I had to have her. And she sat graciously in the car. And then I was so godly. And then when I walked in the car, I just started crying. And I said, could you please call your father? I just want to go sit with him and tell him what happened. And I went to Samina's family and I cried and I cried. And they just listened to me, and I was loved. It undid everything. And Fatima, Samina's mom, said to me at the end, you know who you are. You know who you are. You're not that. All those things your father just said about you. It hurt, man. I didn't expect that. He went on and on, like just 15, 20 minutes, all just saying all the negative, all the shitty things he thought about me. And he's saying it again. When I was in grade 10, he's just saying it again. And you're a moron. You're so freaking stupid. He says, don't you even think of coming back here unless you're not stupid anymore. That was his last words. And I didn't even say anything. I just listened.
Mm. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Like for me, this is my guilty pleasure. If I can just
Thank you.
um, reframe the energy of the moment. I really do get something out of understanding, um, getting a close look at people in that type of mind frame because it's like I really want to see myself in as many different reflections as possible. That's part of why I do this.
What do you see in yourself as I shared my stories there? What came up for you?
That's a good question. What came up for me? Uh, well, I'm thinking about my relationship with my father, right? Which again, most people don't know this, but I have a biological father who wasn't there, and I have the father who raised me. But I mean, he's a beautiful soul, and you'll get this. He's a beautiful
Yeah.
soul, great guy, funny. Introduced me to music, which was a really beautiful experience for me. But he just wasn't the man that I needed him to be in terms of having a man as a role model or a mentor. And so I was looking at the the similarities between my relationship with the guy who raised me and and your experience with your father. And it's very similar. There's a lot of toxicity there. And I actually I got a funny story for you. Um, I'm a very helpful person, like probably too helpful. And I have a scar on my right hand here. You probably can't see it in the webcam because it's too uh it's not clear enough. But one day I remember I was getting out of the car, and this is not in any way like a, how do I say this? It's just an experience. I was getting out of the car, and sorry, no, shift gears. I wanna really express something here. Um, I'm at a grocery store, right? My dad calls, and he has this energy. God, I love this guy. He has this energy of rushing, of like he is anxiety personified. Like if I could personify anxiety, it would be him. And so I'm driving home, like he sent me out to get something. He calls me, and I literally sucked this energy in, right? So naive at the time. The second he calls me, I reverse because I'm rushing home now. I reverse like a madman, and someone's coming into the parking lot, and I reverse right into the car. And it's like, holy shit, I didn't even know what to do. But just being in that experience made me realize, you have to really take something positive from the negative. Because anyone who's in an experience like that would be like, I had so many reasons to curse this guy, right? I had so many reasons to blame him. But, really what I take away from that is um, my ability to discern energy. That's one of my superpowers now is I'm so sensitive to people, right? Because I know what it feels like to be, like you said, energetically controlled, to be so naive, to be so uh, blind, you know, for self-awareness to not even be anywhere present, anywhere here. And it was such a powerful experience. And that's how I looked at my father. Every single time he did something crazy, every single time he did something that would hurt me, it was like I looked at him as a reverse guru. That's how I looked at him, and it really has shaped in a big way my ability to.
However, I'm going to ask you if you had this experience. So that's great. That's greatly evolved. I get it,
Mhm,
and me too, obviously. But when I was in it,
mhm.
my I was living like anticipatory trauma, like on guard, like you know. Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can rationalize what's going on here with you, but at the same time, I am trying to protect myself.
Oh,
I'm
100%. And
anticipatory abuse. Like I'm
Scott,
abusing myself just by getting ready for it.
yeah, exactly. Listen, Scott, I wouldn't even dream of thinking. There's no comparison because physical abuse, it affects you on two levels. So I was never physically abused. It was more psychological. But
My
physical,
with my father it was mostly 99% only psychological.
oh, so there wasn't a lot of physical abuse. Like,
One occasion. My father would sit there and have me listen, wake me up at 2 in the morning. I got to go to school, Dad. You said I got to get good grades. And he would go on, telling me about how evil my mother was. And if I ever catch you talking to your mother again, you'll be thrown out on the streets. It was like everything was psychological.
Ah, okay.
Oh, it
So it was,
was very similar to, if you've ever seen that show, the Walking Dead, and there's this guy named Negan when he was like really crazy. Anyway, yeah, just it was like living with a psychopath that, yeah, I don't even know how to explain it.
yeah, I think this was, that's a different type of, that's a different type of evil. I think there's some similarities
But
there,
you know,
but
but I'm saying but really, I'm only talking about one thing. There, the impact is having to live your life on guard, waiting for, wondering, when is he gonna like uh, do that thing to me again? Because I might be in a good state and I can handle it, but I might not be in a good state, and then when I'm not in a good state, I'm scared. But the
you
thing
see,
is, he's
but
occupying all this space in my mind, which is why my grades went to shit.
yeah,
I
yeah.
could not focus. I couldn't concentrate. I remember crying. Reading something and I couldn't comprehend it. And I started crying because I thought I'd gone stupid. I used to be a genius, and now I'd gone
Mhm.
stupid. I started crying all by myself because I thought I lost my mind. I don't understand. And I didn't understand. It was because of all this, wondering and worrying about when the next, thing's going to happen, whether it happened or not, whether it happened or
Just like
not.
that. Hmm.
Whether it happened or not didn't matter.
It,
Just like
it's
in business, they teach the power of focus. You got to focus on one thing, one thing, right? And I couldn't focus on the only thing I could focus on is like not getting hurt, sleeping under my bed so that when dad came in, at least I'd have a head start. And then when it was the winter time, it was so freaking cold, I'd sleep on the balcony because it was so cold out there that no matter how drunk he was, I found that he wouldn't come out into the balcony because it was just too cold for him. And he would, and so I found it safe. To this day, I have my air conditioner on right now in the winter. I have to have the room freezing in order for me to just feel really comfortable. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing.
it's funny that you say that because um, it reminds me of an experience that I think we all have, which is our parents are like this God figure. And I don't think people really understand this is as you evolve as a human being and you become an adult, most of us still, even subconsciously, and I'm talking about myself too, most of us still, either it's intellectual or it's experiential or it's emotional, experience our parents as some form of a God. And that's why they have this hold over us because they brought us into this life and they were it's like being a master programmer at the beginning and at the inception of writing a program. You are able to code it however you want to code it. You're the master programmer. And so, you know, as the coding, which is what I kind of think of us as kids, we're the coding of our parents. It's you look at them with this awe and this reverence almost until you you realize that they are literally a version of their parents coding. I need to write this down. And of their parents coding,
You
and
don't
then they
have to
become,
write. Just so you know, I'm also recording here. I'm going to send you the audio, and you can do what you want with it. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, perfect. That will free up some memory. So yeah, so it's like once you realize that they're human, then you can really start to, and this is something I'm really leaning into more and more every day, is you can start to have a real relationship with the human and not the parent. They're no longer mom, they're no longer dad. It's like you call them by their name, even if it's you just want to do it mentally, and you meet them human to human,
And
right?
here's the other thing too. And I've got to a place where it's also okay to just look at your parents as, look, my family is Sarah Clark, Samina Fernandez, Zev Rohr, and Samina's mother and father. That's my family, right? And the Clarks, when were my family when raising me, kind of, right? And um, it's okay to just say, hey, do I really want to hang out with my mother, right? Just because she's my mother,
Hmm.
and is that the kind of person I want to like work so hard at being able to survive our interactions? Like, it's okay I don't
Yeah.
owe my parents anything, just like they don't owe me anything. But if
Mhm.
these are family members that or people, just people. If like, do I need to? Do I treat addicts like this? Oh, just keep abusing me. You're not willing to do anything about it. You won't do the amends. You won't help other people. I don't chastise them, but these people I don't hang out with. So,
Mm.
do I even have to hang out with them? Do I even have to, you know, well, you're going to regret it if you don't, if they die and then, and you didn't get that one last interaction with them. I've done everything I knew to do to create a condition for me to enjoy and look forward to spending time with them. And no matter what I did, there comes a point where you got to say, you, Scott, are insane,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
You're insane. This pattern keeps going on all your life. My father, he made it clear, don't come back. Why would I come back? Right? He's told me what he wants. I came back. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's okay to not have any sense of duty or guilt or responsibility whatsoever with anybody.
Yeah.
With anybody. Nobody owes me anything. Nobody owes me anything.
Yeah, I think that's a very liberating thing
And
to
I
say.
don't have a responsibility to have anybody in my life just because they had sex with someone and had a child they never ever wanted. And then I'm a reminder by constantly showing up, triggering all the pain of what my mother did to him when she tricked him. That's how it looks to him.
Mm. That's
They're just
real.
people. They're just people.
It's just people.
They're just people.
It's just people. You have to draw the line, and you have to, create healthy boundaries for yourself, right? That's just what it is. And parents will test that, right? They'll test how much, um, you respect yourself, you love yourself, how healthy are your boundaries, because family in general, actually, because they're the ones that we often give a pass, right? They're the ones where we often think,
Yeah.
I have to make an exception here to my rule.
Absolutely. Like the
And
battered wife, right? No, but he said he's sorry and he really means it. He said he's never going to do it again. He really means it. He does. He's my husband. No, that's not what's going on. You know what's going on? You don't know how you're going to survive and be able to pay the rent all by yourself and raise a kid. That's what's really going on.
exactly, exactly. And that's a hard battle. That's a rock in a hard place. That's what that is. You know, Scott, we are at 9:30, and I could do this all day, but I know that you are very time efficient, and I want to respect that.
Well, then I want
Um,
to say, I'm going to test to see if that's true or not, because I'm not done until you're done. If it was 2 hours more, I'm here. I'm here. I'm present. And I'm not
okay,
even making a request. We wrap it up. You want to wrap it up? We wrap it up. But not for
okay,
that reason. Not for that reason, because it's not true. You have me.
okay, all right. I get these feelings, right? Um, it's not even about the fact that it's 9:30, really. That was just an excuse. But
I
I,
know.
I, I have a feeling that we're
We're done.
yeah, like we're
Yeah,
we're
I felt
we're
it too. I
landing the
felt it
plane.
too. If you just didn't throw the bullshit lie in at the end, we could have actually ended.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? Let's talk about that for a quick second. It's like, why did
Nice.
I feel the need to lie there?
Yeah,
You know what it
because
is?
you're a people pleaser and didn't want to offend me and let me down by saying, I can't hear anymore. I'm done. I'm complete. I don't matter. You
Yeah,
know?
that's what it is. That's what it is,
Yeah.
man. I don't even pretend to be perfect, man. Like I'm still working on, um, you know, creating that healthy boundaries, right? Because I like my love for people goes so deep, and I really never want to see anyone hurt, not at least by me. And so, that being said, yeah, I think that we are complete